Nigerians often complain about ill treatment from law enforcement agencies, from illegal arrest to brutality, which all falls under human rights violation. On October 2020, millions of Nigerian youth across the country took to the street to protest against unfair treatment by police officers and the Special Anti-Robbery Squad (SARS). October 20, 2022 is a day that promises never to be forgotten by Nigerians. The Nigerian army was alleged to have shot at peaceful protesters, a sorrowful time for the country. To ensure peace, the federal government promised to actualize the 5 points demanded by the Nigerian youth, which are immediate release of all arrested protesters, justice for all deceased victims of police brutality and appropriate compensation for their families, setting up an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reported police misconduct within a period of 10 days, carrying out psychological evaluation and retraining of all disbanded SARS operatives before they can be deployed, and this should be verified by an independent body. The government should increase police salary and they should be adequately compensated for protecting lives and property of citizens. Now, 2 years after the Endsarz protest, how much of these demands have been effected? This is Firecrakers.
Okay, now let us talk about it, because I know that the two guests I had here played active roles when it comes to Endsarz and getting justice for people who were maybe arrested. And let us even first of all dive right in. One of the things that was requested for was release of all arrested protesters. So far, since both of you are very active on the field, okay, let me start with Mr. Festus here. This first one, release of all arrested protesters, how far would you say the federal government has gone to actualizing this?
Well, thank you very much. The truth of the matter is that the federal government on its part, likewise the state government, have not made any true and sincere commitment to ensuring that those that were illegally and unjustifiably thrown behind bars in relation to the Endsarz protests are released. They've not made any sincere effort. I can tell you for a fact that we have civil society organizations, non-profit organizations, individual lawyers that are making efforts to track and trace these victims in custody and to ensure that they are released. The issue of Lagos detainees are, everywhere in the news. Beyond Lagos, we go to other states and you see clearly how we still have hundreds of our people in custody in relation to the Endsarz protest. Just about a few weeks ago, one of my team members had to visit a correctional center, and I was so shocked and indeed surprised that we still had cases of Endsarz detainees till date. You see clearly from all that I've said, with all that we have still pending at Kirikiri, that till today we still have people that were arrested, tortured, and detained in relation to the Endsarz protest, and none of them have been released, and they are still suffering in custody without any just cause. So it is very unfortunate that the federal government of Nigeria, despite the clear and unambiguous demands of the protesters in 2020, are yet to ensure the release of all the victims, the true and real victims of the struggle. Now, when our people are now being, guilt-tripped, attacked, when we ask serious questions in relation to this protest, especially at this time when we make the remembrance or anniversary, I get surprised, because these are questions that must be answered. These are issues that must be addressed, because that was the very essence why the Endsarz protest was, staged in the first place. We want a country where there will be respect for due process, there will be respect for the liberty of the citizens.
You know,
But
okay, talking about due process, now I have to ask you that question. Do you feel like it is still part of the federal government going through due process to make sure that the people who are perhaps still, the ones who are still in detention, and perhaps the victims are not ones that were perpetrating arms during the protest? Do you feel like perhaps this is the reason why we still have scores of innocent protesters still locked behind bars?
Well, thank you. You can't really isolate the Endsarz victims, people behind bars, from the general malaise that dogs the Nigerian prosecutorial judicial system. Quite a lot of people are just in there, not being attended to. That, save for the occasional visits of chief judges of states who will just arrange for people's release. The Nigerian system is this: suck you in, dump you there, forget you, except where you are a big, in quote, a big person. That's why were these provisions now that magistrate, at least in Lagos, they should visit police cells maybe monthly. It's just because people are dumped, are arrested on trumped up charges, on real charges, and dumped there, and it becomes a matter of negotiation. So now, not to now talk of the Endsars, protests, movement, and protesters, all which have been stigmatized by the quote-unquote the ideologue of the government. Endsars protest is seen more or less as an intifada, an uprising, a challenge. They are seen as enemies. They call them and they dub them, they criminally profile them as disruptors of society. That's a biblical phrase. When somebody was calling, and he was calling a prophet, a critic, he called him troubler of Israel. That's how the government of Nigeria, even up to judiciary, once you say you have, they even set up some court, they call it Endsarz court in Lagos State. The magistrate handle, so you're already stigmatized. And Onijagon, troublemakers. You know, Endsarz started from 8th of October and forcefully put down on the 20th. Within this period, relative peace. Yes, the people are massive, there are many, but they were not disturbing people, they were not something. From 20th, 21st to like even October of that year, there are a lot of violence all over the country, necessitated also by the discovery of ordered palliatives, post-COVID palliatives, leading to a lot of wildness. They have now ascribed that orgy of violence on the Endsarz movement and Endsars. So they now say, oh, and sometimes we want to do ordinary demonstration. No, related to Endsars. You say some people, we are defender of Lagos, we are defender of peace. This, and you see the police kitted up. You say, no, they want to burn Lagos down again. That stigmatization, that infamy. You know, this country actually shows that the government is not for the people. It's not just this Buhari government. No, it's the traditional thing. If you want to know what I'm saying, when you want any issue, when you want to say, you know where the government will be, because once you know what the people of Nigeria want on any issue, the opposite is what the government wants. As the one you are discussing before now. What the people want is state police. This is the truth. Only 11 states, these are the minority. This is a democracy, so that shows that's a problem. Include it. He said no. So the government, see, that Endsarz is not just about police brutality. It's actually a protest against bad governance. Government is not for the people. The police are not the people's police. The Nigerian army are not the Nigerian people's army. They are army for the government, the police for the government, immigration for the problem. Even the attorney general of state is supposed to be the people's lawyer, the lawyer for the people, attorney general, but it's actually attorney government. So what you are seeing, that the case of the Endsarz is like that because problems are piled upon problem. Already when you are a poor person, when you are the ordinary masses, you are in trouble with Nigerian system. Now you are now specially criminally profiled as violent, as a criminal, as a destabilizing agent. Forget them. That's what has happened. So when we talk about due process, we've handled, like you said, we're active. All of the cases we've handled to set people free. Is it ROMS? Romansele, I forgot it, but ROMS is called, that's a more popular case. ROMS, Awugbadi case, at the end of the day, no case. When we push it through, I've done one twice at the High Court. The judges refused to grant bail. For they arrested you for you are breaking curfew. You didn't obey governor's order. The High Court refused. Eventually, because of pressure, the DPP was kind enough to say they're handing over. That's when the judges now begin to release them. So the problem is political, and it's not partisan political. When I say political, I say PDP, APC. Is the mindset of oppressors oppressing the vulnerable, and it has not changed. That's the problem. And what you say is true. The pockets and lots of people stay there, abandoned. And you know who are the people who protested? Young people. Not all of them are stars. Everybody know Macaroni. If Macaroni is arrested, they can't be detained for 1 week because it's known. What this other one? Falana son. You can't detain for 1 week. But the ordinary person
is just bearing the brunt.
Yes, the brunt. Yes.
And back to the Festus now. Then the second one is justice for all deceased victims of police brutality and compensation to the family. The third being setting up independent body to oversee investigation and prosecution of all reported police. And we also have here psychological evaluation and retraining of this Endsarz. And then the fifth one being government should increase police salary. I just have to list everything because we do not have much time. So of all this, which would you say that, okay, we give federal government pass mark, they have tried small?
Well, at the end of the day, how I view it is the fact that when we want to see the steps that the government has taken, we need to look at how it affects the lives of the common people. Indeed, the young people of this country demanded that panels and bodies should be set up to ensure that those who have been, violated, get justice. At the end of the day, first, not all states on the federation set up the panels. Those that
and who do we blame for that real quick? Is that the fault of the federal government or the state
government?
It's
about the political class. They belong to the same class.
Yes.
It's not whether the local government, whether the federal government, whether the state government. Same political class. They are defending the interests of the elites.
Elite.
Now, those states that even set up the panels, some are yet to come out with the recommendations of the panel. If not for one, popular radical, popular and radical members of the Lagos panel, we wouldn't have even seen the panel reports. In some of these states, the panel reports were submitted, they are yet to be released. And I do not know of any state yet that has fully implemented the reports of the panels. So that is to tell you that the government of Nigeria have not learnt any lesson from the historical Endsarz movement. And here is the point. The Endsarz movement is just a foreshadow of what is to come. Because one, the government never expected it, that the young people of this country can rise to challenge so-called constituted authority.
And very
till
quickly,
today, sorry.
With how it's played out, do you feel like the young people will still come out to challenge the present day government with what played out during the Endsarz?
Absolutely. it can only take a matter of time. You cannot beat a child and expect that the child will not cry. Despite and in spite the Endsarz protest, we still see almost on a daily basis cases, even worse cases, of extrajudicial killing. We still see cases of police brutality, torture, inhuman treatment, arrest, profiling of young people, almost on a daily basis. Despite all that happened during the Endsarz protest, we still see that the attitude of our leadership has not changed towards the issues that the Endsarz protest was meant for. Just few days ago, at the Lekki Toge Plaza, we saw how policemen, armed to the teeth, attacked and violated the rights of peaceful demonstrators.
Well, in their defense, because we in an interview with
Yes.
the public relation
Yes.
officer in
Yes.
Lagos, he said it was just a step to ensure there is peace and order, because the crowd was about to get rowdy and then they had to put some control measures in place so it does not go wild.
No.
According to them.
No. To protest is a fundamental right. We have to get that clear. This is a democracy. Section 39, 40, and 41 of the 1999 Constitution guarantees and protects the right of every citizen of this country to protest. Now, the question that we ask, that will puncture the lies of the police is this. Despite the fact that we had demonstrations at the Lekki Toll Gate on the 20th of October, just a few days ago, that the protesters were violently dispersed. We are going to court to challenge that anyway. We are going to court to challenge that, because you can't do that in a democracy. Few days after, I think some days after, we have the Emilocons protesting even massively on the streets of Lagos. We never saw any police attack any of them. Are we saying that the police have now started a sort of, cherry picking in the enforcement of the so-called orderliness in the society? When you protest, it is not violent. None of the protesters few days ago were armed. None of them were even obstructing traffic. So the question I keep asking is that when you call it a protest, do you expect it to be done inside our rooms? When you call it a protest, do you expect it to be done inside our sitting room? No. It is a show, it is a public display of displeasure against the very vile and wicked leadership that we have in this country. So, the point I'm making is that despite all that has happened during the protest, during the Endsarz protest in 2020, we still see even few number of our people, just gathering to commemorate the unfortunate incidents, the unfortunate massacre in 2020. Yet, you are still attacking the people. That should tell you that the government of our country have not learned any lessons.
So are you saying basically nothing has changed?
Absolutely, it has even gotten worse. Because now, if you have a gathering of 2 or 3, the police will tell you, like my learned senior here has said, they will tell you, oh, you want to make a repeat of Endsarz, you want to trouble the state, you want to destroy the country. Whereas the protesters in 2020 were non-violent. It was the government that introduced violence, and that was what we saw on that unfortunate night on the 20th of October 2020. So
right.
I think if indeed we want to move forward as a country, the government of our country must understand that the liberty of the citizen are sacred and they must be respected. Unless and until these sacred rights are respected, then the government might not be ready for what is to come.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. Unfortunately, we do not have much time. So over to you very quickly, sir. What is the way forward from all this?
The way forward.
Yes, way forward.
The way forward. Those who make peaceful change impossible will make violent change quite possible. If the attitude of government it has not changed, it has hardened, it has worsened, our eyes are more opened. people are more conscious of their rights. You see that the youths are more interested now in politics. And I'm talking of educated youths, educated people. It's not just a matter of I will japa, I will leave the country. No, it's that this country is worth fighting for, and that is important. We cannot beg government to change. So when the senator was saying that people hold accountable until they become accountable, people will hold them to be accountable. And you can see what's playing out on the political field. Before, it used to be two parties, PDP, APC, whatever they call themselves. And when you ask, they say they will mock you. And so, if you say we are not good, what do you have? Now, options are springing up. Options, that is the beauty. And our people are getting more courageous. And I want to thank God for journalists, and I thank God for social media. Everybody's a journalist now. We capture more, we see things that are happening and everything. One of the policemen 4 days ago at the plaza was a person who was said to have been recommended for dismissal. That's a son, Raji, CSP Raji. It's unfortunate that I can't go, but it's okay.
All right.